What if you could take that risk, make that change, reach that goal, live your best life? Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast, where we get together with amazing experts and everyday people who share challenges, encourage healing, and explore the possibilities that life has to offer. I'm your host, Gary Scott, and I'm excited that you're along for the ride. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast. And today, my wandering friend, I tracked him down from around the world, him and his sack, to meet with us today. We have Zander Phelps today on the show. Hello, Zander.
How you doing, Gary? How's everything going today?
Oh, dude, it's sensational, dude. I'm
Love it.
just so good. I don't know. I can't help it. I'm just sensational. I don't know.
That's a good way to be, Ron. That's the way you want to be. 100%. That's awesome.
You know what I'm saying?
Are we
No
done here
brains,
then?
no brains, no headaches. It's just so easy. I don't know. I don't know. I could solve the world's problems in a minute, but we're going to
Perfect.
solve the world's problems today with Xander. So Xander, if it's okay with you, brother, I'm going to read your bio real quick.
Perfect.
Right on. Everybody, we have Zander Phelps. Xander embarked on a decade-long adventure, journeying across the globe with nothing more than a pack on his back and a sack in his pocket. Along the way, he unearthed a profound truth. The universal language of love is play. This simple yet powerful discovery transformed his travels as he connected with people from all walks of life through the shared joy of movement and laughter. Whether he was juggling on a bustling street corner or kicking a footbog AAK hacky sack in a remote village, Xander's extraordinary exercises broke down cultural barriers and opened doors to genuine human connection. Through his playful lens, Xander discovered the profound impact that play has on both mental and physical health. It became his mission to champion this message far and wide. Embracing daily moments of play is not just a pastime, it's a cornerstone for combating the global mental health crisis. With his mantra, play with thyself, he inspires others to rekindle their inner child, unleashing creativity, fostering happiness, and achieving optimal performance in all aspects of life. For Xander, the journey wasn't just about the miles traveled, but the lives touched and transformed through the simple act of playing. Shit, dude. Who doesn't love that? That's
Cool.
freaking awesome. That's freaking awesome. We're gonna jump into this and we're gonna play and have some fun, as you could tell,
Perfect.
Xander. But because like I said, we're the What If You Could podcast, and I'm contractually obligated by myself, because no one gives a shit, to ask the What If You Could podcast question. So, Xander, do you have a what if you could moment or what if you could thought, or there's a time in your life where you said, oh, what if you could you'd like to share with the gang?
Be a bird. No, I would love to get people to understand and truly grasp the power of play, if you will. Like I've been trying to preach it and I try to talk people about it, but um, it's super understated. And especially I've got my pillars of play. One of them is juggling, and one of them is playing hack. But um, like trying to talk people about the importance of learning something that's a little challenging and helps you re-coordinate your brain is it's an ongoing mission. So what if I could? I would love for people just to grasp it, and so that we can get more players out there. We need it now more than ever. I mean, I look around going like, we're just so wrapped up in all this crap all the time, and everyone's just so programmed to be about everything. I'm like, fucking just play, people. We got to get over this shit. So
Yeah, I love that. I mean, and by play we don't mean lighting shit on fire. All right, we did that as kids. We were
that's,
a bunch of pyros. All right, but now let's just play and have fun. I mean, why why do people grow up? Why do people grow up? What makes us think we have to grow up?
it's beaten out of us, bro. Like literally, like you watch kids and how they interact with the world. They're in a play state all the time. That's how they learn. They're not learning through, reading a book or, watching some videos on shit. They're learning by playing through stuff, putting it in their mouth, messing around with things. and it just gets beaten out of us. Our parents have to try and conform us to society. So, don't stop goofing around, stop playing around, no playing at the table, no, all this stuff. And so we have to conform. And then we go through a school system that just like, okay, now you play only at recess, right? It's recess time. This is when you get your 15 minutes to run around and feel like a kid again before you have to conform into a sitting in a classroom and get the uh, it's just crazy. And then by the time we go to high school, it's all just sports. And then it's competitive. And so that playful spirit that children have is taken out of the game because you want to beat somebody up, you want to win or something like that. And children don't do it that way. If children want to play together, they try and they balance things out so the play lasts as long as possible. They're not trying to finish it off quickly. So they'll do whatever it takes to make it last longer. And so that's the childlike play that really inspires us. It keeps us, young at heart, and and keeps us thinking the world is new. It gets our creative juices flowing. So
Yeah, I
it's
love that.
key.
And like you said, I mean, when we're little, it's like, all right, Johnny and Susie, go outside, run around, get your yayas out, and then come in. And when you get in here, don't fucking move.
Yeah,
You sit still, right? I'm gonna come and whack you with a ruler. It's like, dude, I'm still kind of moving. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, I do better. Like, some people just function better moving. I do.
100%. Yeah.
I can't sit still. Can you imagine duct taping an Italian's arms to its side? The dude wouldn't be able to speak, right? I mean, some people have to move,
Right.
have to play and stuff. But what you touched on before I stepped on it was, wow, like right now, we need play so bad, dude. I mean, people are like freaking out, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's just completely losing their shit. It's like, dude, step back. I mean, just unplug because
Unplug.
you seriously need you need to
Get away from
unplug, right? And go out in the forest and like just play with something.
100%. Like that's literally. I mean, what if I could? I'd like to people to unplug. You know what I mean? Like that's. But like, get off of your screens, get off to the propaganda thing, get off of the whole thing of being manipulated all the time, because that's all we're doing. Every time we're on that thing is being manipulated, and so yeah, being in nature helps reset us. It's a way just to get us back to our roots. And once you get off that screen, you have to find other ways to entertain yourself, if you will. And that's the difference between having like, you know, bullshit type of, you know, time consumption and versus having real consumption, meaningful things. So, but doom scrolling and stuff like that, it gets us so they got it down to a science, about how to manipulate us to be in a constant state of fight or flight and tweaking our anger dial as much as they can. It's scary. It's scary.
Yeah, I mean, literally, people go and get their hate fix. It's like, I need to go get my hate fix today. So I'm going to turn this shit on and reload because I actually relaxed for a second and felt good. And I can't let that happen because I'll be kicked out of the tribe. So I've got to get my uploading of hate. I'm like, no, see, no, you don't have to do
You
that. You can
don't. No,
actually
you really
completely
don't.
unplug.
There's other choices, but people are addicted to it. It's 100% addictive. You get those the like fight or flight things going on that get your body like jacked up, and then you get like that adrenaline rush, and you're like, okay, this is great. But it's a negative thing. It builds up the cortisol. It messes up your body long term because you're overstimulating yourself. So yeah, no, but
It's really bad for your body, your mind, and your soul.
yep.
It really is. And it's like, I don't know if you saw the study. They actually did a study where they could prove that they can get 10 kids to commit suicide. Did you see that thing?
No,
It was
no, but I can't
completely
imagine
nuts.
this.
They found kids through their algorithms or whatever that is that were like already depressed, and they knew if they just kept feeding them shit, like, yeah, you're fat, you're ugly, no one likes you, you should probably just get out of here. You're not, don't, and they literally got kids to where they're posting, like, I'm done, I'm out of here. And so they stopped, of course, the thing before these kids went down.
Yeah,
But they showed within just a short period of time, they can manipulate these kids to literally taking their own lives.
yeah,
It's insanity. And people don't think this stuff is fucking powerful and dangerous.
yeah, yep, yep. It's
No,
it's
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 nuts. And
it's
so
it's
that
crazy.
everybody needs to have a grandkid. I just now had my second grandkid. And it's
Nice.
like, dude, it's like having a second childhood. I'm not buying this shit for them. I'm buying all like the Hot Wheels,
Boom. There
all
you
the
go.
shit that I had as a kid. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Uh,
I'm getting all the old school shit back and playing with him because I don't want him on this stuff, right? I don't
yeah,
want them 2 years old. I don't want him already
on a
locked in
screen.
this shit. I
Oh
want
my
him
God.
playing.
That's the great way of doing it. I mean, like it bums me out every time I see kids on screens. It really is a knife wrench into humanity because I mean we're missing they're missing the prime times to create those moments of pure joy, of pure fun. That's interacting with other people, that's interacting with their friends, and they're on the screen, which gives them a certain type of addiction, but they're going to have a tough time recalling what it is to have true fun. And then they're going to substitute it for just having their little hits, and it's really detrimental. We're doing a massive experiment on humanity right now, and we don't know the ramifications of it. And so it's mind-boggling to think about how quickly it's happened and how there's no safety gates on it.
Yeah, I
So
have a feeling it doesn't end well if we don't kind of come up with some guardrails. But so let's step back because we jumped into this pretty hot and heavy because it's so easy target, right? It's like everything's so fucked up. Um, but so let's go back to Xander. So I read your bio. I honestly just have no questions or notes because I just think your story's gonna unravel everything we need to know. So from what I get here is your journey started with just a backpack and a hacky sack.
yeah.
Why? I'm sure people are going, why? Like,
Well,
what did you just drop out and just go, ah, fuck this, I'm out of
basically, yeah. Yeah, basically. I was in 95 and I just finished revolutionizing television. Like a couple of friends and I, we redesigned television to be one third the screen and got it digitized. And we went from end of screen credits to beginning a next show for NBC. There was only three networks at the time, but we took NBC from number three to number one in one season, and it was heralded as the biggest change in television since color. So it was amazing. And my partners that I built that with, they went over to Fox because Fox was just starting up their network. So they went over and did to there, and they left me at NBC. And I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. So, I'm like, I'm so done editing video because I worked about 100 hours a week initially. I slept at work, and then like I would just wake up and program and do editing and stuff like that. And I just got so burnt out so fast. So when my boss at NBC was like, look, we want to give you whatever you want. So write down your plans, like your 1 month plan, 6 month plan, 1 year plan, 5 year plan, 10 year plan. Put down your salary that you want. We'll match it. We want to keep you happy. And I'm like, here's my 1 minute plan. I quit, and I handed to the paper. I'm like, right. So he was like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah. I can't edit another thing right now. I'm done." So at that point, I mean, there's a little bit of a side story because I moved from
So,
Burbank, California.
so NBC just rolls out the red carpet and looks, Cooks, bro, you're the bomb. You're the shit diddly. Whatever you want, you've got it. But just draw this out, and you go, okay, yeah, I'm gonna draw out one thing, and then I'm because I can't do it anymore. So you just walked away from like a really awesome opportunity. I mean, what most people like strive their life for.
It was just handed to me. I mean, like I just came directly from school. Like my cousin was one of the guys I was working with, and so I was like begging him for a job over the summer. I'm like, "Oh, let me just get a summer job with you because I got to go back to school and I got to do all my stuff." He's like, "Okay, come on down and check it out." And then I walked into my cousin's office. They were doing an album cover for Peter Gabriel. They were doing a short film for Intel about the microprocessor chip, and they were doing it on a Mac. And then they said, "Oh, we have the small thing for NBC," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." And that was their first the gopher, like, "Go get us some food, go get us whatever." But then my cousin saw me on the computer. He's like, "Okay, get in the computer. We want you on the computer." So they got me on the computer. We put together our money to get a new computer, and I started working on that one. And then that turned into we kept on pitching more and more how to do this thing for NBC, and we kept on bullshitting. We're like literally like the computer technology was not there to do editing on the video, and we were like saying it was. We were taking like small screen and blowing it up to big screen TV, and the editing was a nightmare. It took hours to render stuff, and you couldn't do that. But we were like, yeah, we can do it. But right, like the weekend that we had to get the following Monday, we were actually going to get audited for the clarity of the screen, see if it was good enough. And we had a computer that landed that was able to do it. So literally the weekend before, I did about 6 months worth of editing in one weekend.
Wow.
So yeah, just fueled on Pizza Hut and M&Ms. That was my So, right.
Hey, those M&Ms are awesome though, man. Was it
Power
peanut,
packed.
peanut or just
Boom.
chocolate?
No, no, you
Yeah,
gotta go for the peanut. That
gotta
gives the
be
extra
because the
power.
protein. It's got protein and shit in there. So basically, you just hit the wall and go. You know what, everybody, this has been fun, but I'm out of here.
I'm done. I'm done. I trained people to take over my gig. Like, we got a bunch of people hired on. We created a whole new division at NBC, and I trained everybody to do exactly what I was doing. And so my time went from like massive amount of hours a week to just call me when you need me in, and I would just go home and I'd be like, just call me if you need anything. And so I went in like, like 10 hours in a week, but I was so done. I was so like not able to do it anymore that I'm just like, I don't even want to supervise anything. I want to be part of it. So at that point, I moved to Boulder, Colorado, and I was going to start a bunch of things there. But then I got this it goes to me just saying, you know what, I'm just going to start traveling and just check out some different things because there's a little story about me wanting to start a company in Boulder and then things didn't happen right to get. So I'm like, I'm just going to go travel for a little bit. So I got rid of all my stuff, got everything down to a backpack. And when I was about ready to leave, this one guy I just met for like 2 weeks, um, really good friend up there. Like we went rock climbing together. He was a ping pong champion, tennis player type thing. We had an amazing time. I'm like, dude, if I had met you before, I might not have made my plans because we had such a good hang. He was a total bro. One of those guys like, oh my God, you're a good bro. But as I was leaving, he's like, dude, do you have a foot bag with you? And I'm like, no. And he pulled one out of his pocket and he said to me, like, this is gonna be the best gift anyone's gonna ever give you, buddy. Just keep it in your pocket. And he gave me his foot bag. So the story,
AKA the hacky sack.
yeah, Hacky Sack is a Whammo
Trademark.
name. Yeah, yep, they own that name.
Okay.
So, right, they own hula hoop, yo-yo, frisbee, boogie
Yeah.
board, all those names.
Yeah. So yeah, we don't want to step on any
No,
toes and get sued by the way.
right, right. So, I go to the airport. My flight is 3 hours delayed. Right. So I'm like going to the terminal. I'm about ready to sit down and pull out a book out of my pocket. And as the story goes, I felt this bulge in my pocket that needed to be played with. So I went to a corner, whipped it out, and started playing with myself. Right. So I'm just, I'm just,
Dude, I can't wait till I do opticlips on this one, man. He's looking and go, what the fuck? You talking to fucking a porn star? Or...
so
All right, so you whip it out.
whip it out and just start, go having at it, And I'm in the corner of the airport, and this guy walked up to me, and he's like, let me jump on in. I'm like, come on, let's do it. So we started playing together, and like before we knew it, like there was this lady on the at the terminal going, "Hey, you guys, come on, the plane's about ready to leave." We're like, "What?" Okay, so we picked up our stuff and we're like laughing. We were cracking up the whole time as we run towards the terminal, right? And then the hostess lady stopped us, and she's like, "Look it." I just want to say thank you. You have no idea about how many people are commenting on you guys playing over there, but you entertained everybody for the last 3 hours, right? And it was 95, so it was pre-cell phones. You know what I mean? So there was none of that. So we give her a high five. We give each other a high five when we walk onto the plane. Like my friend has to sit down pretty quickly, but I have to go to the back of the plane. As soon as I walk by this one guy, he gives me a high five. It's like totally just smiling. I'm like, oh, awesome, bro. And I look over to the left. There's a whole family, mother, father, three kids, and all the kids look going like this. The parents are like, thank you. You know what I mean? I walk by this lady, and she's like, here's my number. Meet me in the bathroom. But like, it was like, I just felt a lot of love going on this plane. Something I've never really felt before, right? It was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, you
beautiful.
don't get love. People aren't real stoked getting on a plane anymore,
No,
right? They're all just
no.
such a pain in the ass.
It's
So
a
that's
pain in the
that's a
ass now.
rare event nowadays.
Yeah, and this was pre, TSA type thing. This was when airline was still like, fun, if you will. I mean, it was
Yeah.
it was a different game. But by the time I get to my seat, I feel like a superstar. My mind is tingling. I feel good heart, and then when I sit down, I feel into my body, and my whole body is tingling. I've just done, 3 hours of core crunching, laughing, bouncing around in my body with this other human being having a great time. And then I felt the bulge in my pocket throbbing, saying it's playtime, it's playtime. Right. So
Uh,
after
So where
that,
where were you where were you going?
I was going to Europe. I was going to Amsterdam.
Oh, right on.
Right. Right.
If you got a bulge in your pocket, Amsterdam's a good place to
Let's
go.
go. Right. So
I've
yeah,
been
I'm
to
I'm
Amsterdam. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a
I'm
lot of
actually
Waffle Houses right next to the coffee shops. I don't know how they
for
figured
some reason.
I don't know how they figured that out. Like
You're
if you want
right.
to play, Amsterdam's a good start.
It
No
is
shit.
amazing. Yeah, yeah. I'm actually
Why did you pick Amsterdam? Just shits and giggles, or
I'm actually Dutch. I'm part Dutch. So I Amsterdam. I've been to Holland many times. I have my mom worked for KLM, the Dutch Airlines. So we
oh
used to
yeah,
fly all the time over there. Just for like a weekend sometimes because my mom could fly for free.
yeah.
And my family was in Zwolle, which is a little town in Holland. So my goal was to go into there, meet my oma and my uncle, and then just start traveling. So I had a Let's Go book, and I ended up traveling.
Yeah. For
I
anyone who
traveled.
hasn't been there, it's absolutely fucking beautiful. I
Oh
mean,
my God.
any time of year, it's gorgeous. We've been in there in winter. We've been in there in fall. It's one of my favorite places. It's absolutely beautiful. People are so nice, and there's like three bikes for every human. It's just amazing. It's an awesome
Right.
place.
Yeah. Yeah. Amsterdam's one of my favorite big cities just because of the atmosphere, and I mean I grew up a lot of time in Holland, so when I hear the Dutch language, it's one of my favorite languages to actually listen to. America, it's or Westerners think that's harsh, but it's a very I love the sound of Dutch.
Well, it's not like German harsh. I mean, with German, they just start spitting on you, and you're just like, ah, God, why are
Come
you
on.
so mean to me? No, Dutch isn't like that. I mean, it's kind of choppy, but it's
Yeah,
not
yeah. Look at the
mean
huh
like the
sound.
like the
Yeah.
Germans or the other ones. I
Yeah.
don't want to say, or I'll get attacked. But
Yeah.
so you were you going there to visit family, or you're just going there because you loved it?
Well, yeah, I mean, when I first went to Holland, I had, I wanted to go visit my family there for sure, but I was actually, I had a plan to go visit, all these different countries that I hadn't visited before. So it was a 2-month plan. I had an unlimited Euro pass, which you can't get anymore. So I had this thing where I would just, zigzag across, take night trains a lot of times and go zigzag across
You
Europe.
can't get the unlimited Euro rail
I don't
anymore.
think so. I don't think so.
Oh,
My
that
mom was
sucks.
talking about it.
Yeah, that thing was awesome.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, don't quote me on that. That's what my mom told me last time, so I'm not sure. I'm not
I
sure,
won't hold
but
it. I'll edit that out just on the safe side.
cool.
I
Perfect.
don't want any pissed off Dutch, all right?
Right,
'Cause you know
right.
how they are.
You don't want the Dutch mad at you, man.
No,
They'll
you don't
like
want the
throw
Dutch
like
mad at you.
cheese and shit at
So
you.
you so you get there and you're like, yeah, I'm like still high from the flight. I'm still feeling great and I'm home and shit's good.
Shit's good. Shit's good. So, but the foot bag with me was the game changer. Like literally when my friend told me that, I had no idea what he's talking about. I'm like, whatever, it's a foot bag. But my thing was is I'd go to a city and I'd find the hostel I want to go to. I'd go to that hostel and just be like, hey, anybody want to play? Anyone want to play? Let's go to the park. I go to the park and just meet people, and I would play almost every place I was at just to get coordinated in the area, and then I met so many amazing people just by carrying this thing around with me all the time. So it
Now,
became
how
my
did you plan on being gone for so long, or
no,
did it just end up just like I'm not going home? I got my sack, I
yeah.
got my backpack. I get why. I mean, why stop now, right? Was it that kind of thing?
You pretty much I had the reason why I initially went to Europe is I had a trip planned with my dad in Africa, right? So from Europe I had 2 months, and then I went to meet my dad in Africa and travel with him for a month in Africa, and then right,
Yeah.
and that was that was the exact almost opposite of my European trip because my European trip I was living in hostels, living buying as food as cheaply as possible. When I went to Africa, my dad was doing this thing for global executive travel. He was trying to create these executive tours for people. So we
Hmm.
went to like 5-star resorts. Like I walked into buffets of this most amazing food, and we went on private safaris everywhere. It was just, oh my gosh, like it was so crazy. It was so crazy. And like and then when I like Europe, it was I could not get younger to people to play with me that much. I mean, it was mostly like teenagers and older. But when I was in Africa, kids would surround me to play. It was just such a different vibe. I could and the joy that these guys that they the smiles. It was so magical. Just looking at the difference between like the openness of wanting to play and taking advantage of that versus the shyness in Europe or the standoffishness. But
Yeah.
it's a different vibe.
Yeah,
But
Europe was all about stranger danger, and here
yeah,
these little African kids are like, dude, we play all the fucking time. We still climb trees. We chase monkeys. I mean, we
whatever we can.
play,
Yep.
right? Because we don't have all this electronic bullshit, and we don't have all this stuff. So they see you playing and like, we're in, and
Done.
like
Yep.
soccer, it's just so huge
They
because
don't they don't they
they're
don't put
used
fear
to
into
using their
it.
feet, right? I mean,
Yeah, the Western countries it's really it's the most challenging here here when I go to my local park. Like I try and get people to play with me here, and it's so challenging. It's so challenging.
yeah, don't
I've
don't try to wave a kid over to play hacky sack
oh
with you. If
mm,
you said, "Hey, little kid, you want to see my sack?" Oh,
yeah,
fuck, it's over.
the police. I'm just talking about yeah,
Exactly.
100%. You can't do it. You cannot do it. So it's sad, but that was the great connector for me. Like that, how come I say I associate play as the universal language of love? Because I feel like when people are in love, they're playing with each other. It's a different vibe of how you interact that way. But
So help me out though. So you go to Amsterdam, you see your family, then you go to Africa to see your dad. It's off the hook awesome.
yeah,
And so when did it hit you that you're gonna make this kind of like uh
the
a
the
path?
transition.
This is gonna be a thing that you're gonna do.
Okay,
When did that hit
perfect.
you? You're just like
Okay,
out in the bush, like smoking some ganji out there in the forest, and
yeah,
it's
this
like
live. It's gonna be
because they
so
got
much
some
better.
crazy shit in Africa, bro. I'm just saying. Okay. Sorry, we'll edit that out too.
All right,
Um,
cool.
is that where you discovered
No,
this
no,
this
okay, okay,
thing?
perfect question. Okay,
Yeah.
so from Africa, um, before leaving Boulder, actually, I contacted my cousin, and he had mentioned to me that his big dream was to go down to New Zealand and go on a bike trekking tour because he was a biker. And so when I was still in Boulder, he shipped a bike out to me because he worked at a bike shop, and I was training in Boulder for this trip to New Zealand. So after Africa, I flew back to Colorado. I got all of my stuff out of storage and gave it all away. Got my truck, went to and my bike, went to California, sold my truck, and then we hitched on a plane back to down to New Zealand. I did not. I thought I was going to still go back to Colorado at this point, but I didn't want to have to pay for my storage anymore, and I figured if I go back to Colorado, I was going to start with the company up there, and they were waiting for me to come back to them. And so I said, look, okay, I'm going to do 2 months. I'm going to do 1 month in New Zealand, 1 month in Australia, and I'll be back by Christmas. Right? That was my goal. So I'm like, okay, cool. But when I got to New Zealand and Australia, I contacted I went to New Zealand, did biking around the Coromandel Peninsula. That's amazing. And then South Island is my hands down my most beautiful country I've ever been to. Natural beauty, like it's otherworldly. It's amazing. So Australia was not so much. It reminded me of America a lot, and it was
Plus, I
okay.
heard that everything in Australia wants to eat you or kill you. My son was stationed there in the Air Force. He's like, Dad, everything here wants to eat me, man.
Yep. Yep.
Big bugs.
Ants, the spiders go after you. The funnel spiders, man, they'll chase you. That's not fun. No,
No.
no. Frogs will even kill you, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's not worthy.
Frogs are
Box
supposed to be really
jellyfish.
chill and nice. Why? I don't want
Yeah.
frogs
No, you
trying to
can't go
kill
swimming
me.
in the ocean either. Like those box jellyfish, like what's supposedly one of the worst ways you can die. So,
Yeah.
no, no. But other than
So
that,
you burn the boats, like they say, like that old story from the when the
yeah, the army
admiral
comes in.
just
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
"Dude, you guys are gonna have to fight because I'm just gonna light all the ships on fire." So you drive to California, and just fuck it. I'm selling my truck too. I'm burning the boats, and whatever
Yeah.
happens, happens.
Well, I figured, my goal was still come back to Colorado, but I figured at that point I'd be able to reset everything. I was working with this company that was gonna, I was gonna advance, create a whole video department for them, and I was gonna make good money with that. And I figured, at that point I'll just reset, no big deal. I've done it before, whatever. But when I was when I was in Australia and I was contacting the company, the computer I was supposed to get was not available yet. They were pushing it back, so it wasn't going to be released. And I contacted him. I was like, "Look, I'm out here. I'm going to continue to go, And he's like, "Dude, do it. If you ever want to come back, this will always be here waiting for you. But it sounds like you're having so much fun. Just go explore." You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, cool. So then I called my folks and I was like, "Merry Christmas, my gift to you. I'm not coming home. I'm out." All right. So, you know, and then it was free reign. It was like because then I went to Southeast Asia. I traveled around there for 9 months, and then I met so many amazing Europeans in Southeast Asia that I came home just for a moment, and then went back to Europe and stayed in Europe for a year for the same amount of money. I did 2 months in Europe. I spent a year in Europe just visiting friends and family and just staying with them and being in a the best guest I could be. Like I would cook and clean and stuff like that and just make myself very useful. But so there wasn't any trouble with that. But I would just be like, okay, I'm gonna just do what I can do, and that just then it became like a thing. I came back to America, and then like I'm going to go to Central America because it's cheap there. Then I met a bunch of amazing Europeans in Central America, and then I went back to Europe and hung out with the Europeans there. And it was a thing of mine, a pattern. That I went to Canada for a while, and then back to Central America, met a bunch more Europeans, went back to Europe. So my pattern was to meet a bunch of cool people and then go stay in their country.
And so the basis of this whole thing was to meet people, share the hacky sack, find joy, share love. I mean, or was it just for you finding you?
Yes, it was right.
Good answer.
Yes. Through, I just didn't see myself going back to America and trying to reestablish myself at this point. Um, and I was having way too much fun. I was learning a lot about myself, so much so that my dad kept on, like, for the first 4 years, 4 or 5 years, my dad would just be like, dude, you got to come back and settle down. Time to get back to reality. But after a time, after he saw it, he goes, "You're getting some of the best education. You're totally changed when you come back. So just keep on going, keep on enjoying as long as you can." You know what I mean? And I'd made some investments that were paying off a little bit, not much, but my budget was to spend so much money a month that I would come back and have a little bit more than when I started. You know what I mean? Like, so it was just like, okay, I kept on, building, 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 and just making it happen. I could continue, and I took some odd jobs. It wasn't all the time just on a backpack. Like I did some odd jobs every once in a while. Like worked on a farm. I did, I worked with a family as a manny, you know, but they weren't long stints. They were just enough for me just to feel like a little bit of solidity for a moment, and then next, next.
People don't. I think that's one of the challenges that we have right now, and we have so many, but this is just like a small piece of them is people don't travel, right? And they think that they're worldly because they watch MSNBC or Fox or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want to pick one, but
yeah, yeah, yeah,
regardless, right? So they think they're educated. They think that they have some sort of clue about how the world works, right? Because they saw it
yeah.
on TikTok. But nothing will open your heart and your mind and your eyes like traveling. We dragged our kids. Fuck that. I mean, people say, "Oh, you got kids. You two little babies back to back. It's gonna slow you down." I'm like, ah, bullshit.
Yeah.
That's why they have papooses. You just throw their ass on you and you just go, right?
Yeah,
And we just took our kids everywhere. And now both my boys are amazing travelers. Like I would always tell them, if you can't fit it in a backpack, it ain't going because I'm not checking luggage. That's bullshit, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Just walk it on, walk it off. But traveling like what you did and meeting people opens your eyes to what people really are about, right? And,
yeah.
you get a whole different feel for people when you experience all over the world.
Yeah, yeah. People are people. They have the same dreams, same goals, same type of thing. They just want a happy life, And there's no enemies out there that just And it's crazy. You know what I mean? It's that they were programmed to think all these things and you know,
Yeah. You know what I
there's
loved about a lot of Europe and about a lot of Central America is the family base. You see a lot of more community.
yep,
People hang out more. They still have grandma. They just wheel
yep,
her into the room. They got the kids there. Family hangs out. They eat together. They do shit together, right? It's
yep,
just it's a different vibe in a lot of other places. And here it's like we're just so separate, either separate by politics, separate by religion, separate by everything.
it's our
It's just
training.
tragic. And so
Yeah.
when you're getting with these people, they're feeling your joy. It's like Xander. First of all, your name is Xander. So right off the bat, people smile, right? Because like Xander,
Come
you
on.
can't even say without smiling, right? Xander. So right. So right off the bat, people like you. And then you show them your bulge and your pants, and they're like,
Boom.
yeah, I know you're
Sold.
gonna want to see this, and you whip it out. and then you're like just spreading joy and love, and people are laughing, and you're communicating. And so, what did that do to you?
It gave me the ultimate confidence. You know what I mean? Like I just felt like I could go anywhere and do anything and be cool with people. You know what I mean? It gave me such a diverse experience with being able to handle different situations for sure. But the confidence of just being able to, I'll walk up to anybody and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And just be cool with them. It's no big deal. You're another human being. What's up? You know what I mean? But it's it's as you were we were talking before about the Western or this our culture of being trained to be individuals. You know what I mean? Like being independent. And what the difference is that I mean the same thing for me when I was visiting the Asian families in Central America and stuff like that. The family unit is so important, and everyone can live together, and they know how to do it. They know how to not to step on each other's toes and and work things out versus our thing of just being, whatever. If you want to believe your thing, fine. I don't care, but I'm, whatever. I'm going to do my thing. You know what I mean? We're just, it's a sad thing because it really sucks because, like, it's just
Well,
weird.
I mean, like you said, you can play with thyself, but it's a lot more fun to play with others, when your
100%.
hat
Yeah.
says play exclamation point on it. So I mean, what's your mission with play? Are you still goofing around with this stuff? Are you still trying to spread this? Or I know we got
Yes.
some another topic we were going to chat on, but I mean, what's in line for Xander play?
Well, I mean, a couple things I am doing right now. Actually, I work with senior centers about just bringing more play into their world. You know what I mean? That's something that brings a lot of ROI on it. You know what I mean? Like the amount of love that I get from these folks and just feeling creative with them is great. Um, I work with recovery centers, teenage recoveries, teaching them juggling as a main thing, but teaching them how to play again and help stimulate the brain away from addictions. Juggling is phenomenal for that. Um, I'm working with a guy right now who's doing digital detox for universities. So I have a kit, the little kit thing that I put together for him that has like everything you need to make three foot bags. Three. I call them Hackitos. That's my brand name. Right? But that's the whole thing is
Hakito.
Hackito. It's hack your mind, body, and spirit. So it's hack I do, but hack your mind, body, spirit.
I
But
love it.
right?
Trademark.
Right? Trademark. That's my trademark. Right? But that's the goal is to yeah, is to bring up trying to create what I'm calling play ambassadors, ambassadors of play or whatever, but people who are going to go out there and just remember and be able to create my long-term goal is to create a program for people to go through to learn how to do this and go to senior centers and go to recovery centers and go to schools and stuff like that and teach people how to open up that play, what I call the play flow state. And that's just activating your brain in a cool, totally cool way where you're playing and all of a sudden your brain just goes into an active state of just flow, but
Play
via
flow,
play.
like Play-Doh, but with your mind. I
Yeah,
love it.
play flow. Yeah.
Um, I love what you're doing with seniors because I talked to a gal who is doing that where she's going in and she's getting these people. She started a mentorship program. God, I can't remember what the hell she called it now. Probably something that called mentorship or something. But so she's going in these seniors, and they're all just sitting there hunched over and they're drooling and they just have no purpose left in life. And she gets them to start talking about what they did and what they do. And now she's got like astronauts and Nobel Prize winners and people who are just withering away, right? And just
Yeah.
now she's getting them out, like taking them to schools, having them work with kids and sharing this incredible
Nice.
knowledge, right? It's super awesome. But I think, the seniors need to learn to play.
Yeah.
We all need to learn to play. It's like, people always tell me all the time, you don't take things seriously enough. And I'm like, why would I? I mean, what's
Yay.
serious? I mean, we
Why?
don't
Why
even know
would you?
where we are. I mean, what is this place? I mean,
Yeah.
we don't even know what we're doing here. How can we be serious about everything? It's so freaking ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But I love play flow. I love play flow. And so if you can get these play ambassadors and you can get them into working with the children, especially, I mean, God, this generation of kids, man, are so freaking depressed. They don't know what
Yeah,
sex they are. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what their parents are. They just don't know where they're going to do, what they're going to do. They're just wrapped up in hate and anger and craziness. And it's
yeah,
like, dude, just chill. Fuck,
yeah,
you're a teenager. You're
yeah.
supposed to be drinking Boone's Farm, and doing stupid shit. It's
Shit.
like,
Yeah.
and so getting kids back to play and seeing, getting everybody back to play is huge, brother. That's a
It's
great goal.
it's more challenging than I was, I was anticipating. You know what I mean? Like the pushback on it, the feelings of, it's it's weird. It's weird. But I mean, I connect with people all the time about it, but at the same time, like I'm just like I don't see why everybody isn't just like, okay, yeah, how do we do it? How do we do it? Versus just,
Just
I don't have
doing it.
time. I don't have time for it.
Yeah.
What do you mean I don't have time for it?
Now you gave me an idea. I think I'm gonna rent out my two grandsons. It's like charge like $100 a day. I'll have to do
Yo.
background checks, but
Yeah.
um, no,
Yeah.
no clergy. And
No.
just edit. Now
Wow.
I gotta
Yeah,
edit
that's
so
it.
much shit, dude. Um, you're bad for me. Xander, bad. Um, but because when you're around, it's like that meme that I saw that I just love. It's like if a kid hands you a fake little toy phone, you're gonna answer it, right? You're
Yeah.
just gonna, right? Or like the dude video on tape just throwing a baseball or a football to people. They're gonna catch it and throw it back, right? You throw a
Yeah.
football to some dude, he's gonna go, oh, right on, and throw it back. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like your hacky sack. You start bouncing that thing, trademark hacky sack. What's yours called? Wacky I do?
Hakito.
Hakito,
Haki.
Hakido.
Hakito. Yeah.
But yeah, you start whacking that thing around, and people are just going to jump in there. And like you said, all those parents are like, "Thank God you entertained my kid for 3 hours and stuff."
Yeah.
I think that's really awesome, brother. We need more play.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I did
We
do a birthday party for a young lad out here just recently, and that was really amazing. I mean, it was like 13 kids just running around and tackling me and stuff like that, and just we're throwing footbags at everybody, and just it
just
was awesome.
playing.
Yeah, and then everyone got
Yeah,
one of them. I made a bunch of them, so everyone got one when they left. So it was like, okay, this is a memoir of their birthday party, and everyone who came got a gift. So
that's
it was,
awesome.
so.
We got to start putting selling those where we can put people's branding on them. Like I'll
Yeah,
put my "What
can
if you
do.
could" logo on it, and I'll hand them out. I love it.
Gotcha. You
We got
can. You
another
can.
business now. We got a whole nother business we're building. Um, so I'm gonna segue.
Okay.
So when you were sitting there hacky sacking and you went a little bit too high and you pulled your groin, you gotta is that how you got this hernia thing going or that fucking hacky
No,
sack thing?
no, 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 no hack
Hacky
injury.
don't. Hacky
Hacky
don't.
don't. No, no, it was not playing hack. I still have a no injury report from hack, which is cool. That's the one thing I'm really cool. I love that. There's like
It's a soft little
it's
ball.
a
What's the
soft
worst
little
thing that
ball.
happened?
There's no contact. There's no injuries. But I actually got my hernia jumping on a trampoline. So
Nice.
right,
Nice.
right.
So I've watched a lot of your videos, and we'll post your link to all this stuff. So, but you've gone deep down the hernia rabbit hole here, my friend. Um,
Yeah.
so what happened? You got a hernia, and then you went to doctors, and they're like, "Let's cut your leg off," and you're like, "Whoa, whoa, there's got to be another way." Or how
Can't go
did
too
you get
far.
so deep into the hernia game?
Oh well. Oh, okay, yeah, I went to the doctor and he's like, well, you either can live with it or you can get the surgery. And I was living in Kauai at the time, and the only surgery they had there was the mesh surgery. Um,
Was it what?
the mesh where they put a mesh inside you.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The problem with the mesh is that it's a foreign substance, so your body wants to push it out, and so it'll push it through your skin, your muscle, everything to try and get this thing out of your body. And then you get scar tissue attached to it. It's a no bueno. Like the amount of problems that are from mesh is extraordinary. Like I was just diving into it, going like, oh my God, I can't believe they still do these things. But it was a simple solution. It's a simple procedure. And so why not? They can make some money off of it. Why not?
Of course.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so the other options to live with it, I couldn't. Like I couldn't run. I couldn't. And I couldn't. Like I'd love to play ultimate disc. I wasn't able to play disc. I couldn't kick around my hack. I couldn't do anything I wanted to do. And I was the ambassador of play on Kauai, so I was like, I was the guy who was out every weekend playing at the local farmers
Whoa,
market.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Dude, you were the ambassador of play in Kauai. I'm sure that's not a formal title. Um, but that's awesome. I
Yeah,
fucking love that. I lived on Kauai. I lived in Poipu, so
nice,
yeah, I
nice
have
South
a
Side. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'd go to Princeville when I needed water, and then I'd come back to Kauai to dry out. I mean to Poipu to dry out.
There you
But
go. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
Perfect.
the
That's a great strategy.
ambassador of play, I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Ron Wiley, he's the guy on the radio. And so every weekend I'd call him up. I go, "What's up, Ron?" He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm out here playing with myself, trying to get more people to play with me. And he's like, "Where are you at today?" And I would, we had like a bit going on every weekend and so I got to be no, and I also juggled at demos at all the grocery stores for a company I was repping out there. So I was like the guy who, I would juggle at stores and play every weekend Footbag. So everyone knew me as the ambassador of play. But right. But the hernia thing, when I got that hernia, I was on a plane flight to Hawaii and I felt I mean, okay, honestly, it felt like blue balls. Like I was just sitting in my seat on the plane going, "Oh my God, this is horrible." I good to try to bounce a little bit. That didn't work. And I'm like, "What the happened? I can't believe this." And it was super uncomfortable the whole flight. But and then when I got home, my son's like, "Let's jump on the trampoline, Dad." I'm like, "Okay." So I did a couple of low jumps and I did one high jump. And when I landed, it was just like, "Oh my God, what is that?" And I lifted up my shirt and it just bulged out, a total inguinal hernia. It was like big bulge right there. I'm like, "Oh no." Right. And that's, I went to the doctor, my doctor friend the next day, and he was like looking at it, he goes, "Yeah, that's a hernia, bro." He's like,
Oh,
and then he told me that the things.
yeah.
So I did a bunch of research and I found a guy in Canada who stitched it with the mesh. Instead of the mesh, he stitched it up with a steel thread. But the problem is the steel thread would stay inside you, but it's better than the mesh. And I finally was recommended to a guy in Italy who actually sews you back up with your own tissue, so your body absorbs it. It's like a very, it's a very good procedure if you're going to do it. So I'm like, okay. So I'd made plans to go to Italy, um, and get the surgery done. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to hang out in Europe for another month. I'll get 2 weeks of recovery time, and I'll go visit my family and stuff like that. And I was planning to be gone for a month, and then my baby mama at that time, like we were already divorced. She's like, "You can't do that. I'm not gonna. You can't be gone for a month," because we were doing on and off
Yeah, that
co-parenting.
kind of breaks up the rhythm.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't do that.
Does she know you're the ambassador of play? I mean, what the fuck?
Right,
You can't tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me. I think
right.
that's going to be my tramp stamp. I've been thinking about what I want for a tramp stamp.
Ooh,
Ambassador of play is
there
going
you
to be
go.
my
You gotta learn how to
dude.
juggle, Gary. You gotta learn how to juggle. That's one of the criteria. So,
You're gonna have to teach me how to juggle.
all right. I do have the best course.
So this student in Italy is going to do this type of procedure, which makes a lot more sense than the other types of procedures.
Yeah. Yeah. And apparently there's a guy in Florida who does it now as well. Right. So I've heard about this guy recently switching over to that. But at that time, he was the only guy in the world that who did this. So I'm like, well, I can't do that now. What am I going to do? And so I kind of like really listened to my own intuition was a lot of the ways. I had a couple of friends who recommended things. Like one of my guys has a really famous tea place on Kauai called Kauai Pharmacy, and they do grow all their own herbs. And so he started giving me teas and tinctures to put on. Um, and I'm like, I'm just going to do it myself. If I can't get it done within 6 months, I'll get the surgery. Like if I'm not out on the field playing.
Walk us, because I totally believe in herbal remedies, and I drink tons of different funky teas, and I eat a bunch of weird shit. Um, Walk us through what a hernia actually is, and why they do what they do with it. What is a hernia for those of us who have thankfully haven't had one?
Okay, yeah, hernia is when part of uh there's a bulge in the body, like the tissue pops out. Like the intestinal tract is one area for it. When you have like a different type of hernias, or just for the different locations.
Mhm.
So you have a navel hernia, you have umbilical hernia, you have uh, I mean several different types of
So it
hernias.
pops out through like the muscle
Yeah,
tissue that
yeah,
normally
yeah,
would be packing it in.
yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
it's a
okay.
weakness. It's a weakness in the
So
tissue.
that's why they because there's a place where it exited there. That's why they push it back down with like the
They push it back
or
down and
sew
put the
it back
mesh on
down or
top
whatever.
of it. Yeah. And so
Right, right,
that
right.
prevents you from
So
that's
what would the would it be that the tea or these other remedies work on the inflammation that must surround that and kind of soothes it back down?
well, there's the tea was one part of it. There was like the three major components don't have anything to do with the tea. The tea was kind of like a supplement for me that I just drank a lot of tea during that time because he was the guy who recommended. He also was like he was the guy who said, okay, he was kind of like my dietitian. He's like, get off of hard to digest foods. Give your body time to digest. So I didn't do any grains, no nuts. I didn't do any meats except for I had fish and chicken every once in a while, but no red meats or pork. Um, no processed food. I went, I'm a chipaholic, so I went off of all chips. Anything that was tough for me to digest. I liquefied my diet a lot, right? Just to give my digestive system a break and allow my body to heal a lot more. Um, the other thing I experimented with was aloe. Like I was like, aloe is like an amazing plant. If you cut an aloe plant, it heals itself. So I'm like, okay. I cut off a leaf. I would peel off the extra layer, just get the meat inside. I would eat the meat and I'd rub the leaf on the injury where the hernia was. And so I get it from both ways, coming internally and externally. I also found out about Edgar Casey's. He does a special castor oil treatment thing. It's a castor oil pack where you put it on a wool fabric, uh, castor oil, and I'd use myrrh and sometimes frankincense. Put it on directly in the hernia. Put the castor oil with the pack on there, a plastic bag and a heating pad, and I would did that. And then after that, I would put it on there for like an hour, and then afterwards I'd massage it, just massage the area, and just imagine it. Going in, I'd work the tissues around the hernia, just working them all in like painful areas. I'd like work those painful areas to get it to go back into place. You know what I mean? That was and I visioned it going back into place the whole time. And I did this special exercise called a vacuum breath. And
Mm.
it's a way you expel all the air from your lungs. You lean over and you just work the core muscles by balancing it out different ways and pushing it different ways. You rebuild the core muscles plus pulling all the tissue, the connective tissue together. So it's a really powerful exercise. So those are like my foundations of what I did. And then I go further in depth on the website, but it's more about like uh, just re and constantly telling myself, I've got this, I can do this. You know what I mean? Just every day I
Now,
woke up with a
did
positive.
you still go to the dude in Italy though?
No,
No.
no, no. I never got surgery. I never got anything done for it. It was back in place after 2 weeks. It went in place. And then I took it way easy for the next 2 weeks. But after a month, I started kicking around a hack again. I'm like, I can kick around a hack, but I'm going to still take it very easy. But then a month after that, I started playing Ultimate Disc again. So I was running around the field playing, and like everyone was like, my whole team was freaked out. They're like, "What are you doing? Didn't you have a hernia?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "Did you have surgery?" "No." "Oh my God, what are you doing out here?" I'm like,
So so obviously what you did was able to get it back in place, but how did and then did it heal around it?
that basically that's what happened when I was pushing it back in place. I was massaging the tissues around it to get it to fold over the place, to
Mhm.
have it roll over, and then strengthening with the vacuum breath. You're strengthening all the core muscles and readjusting the fascia to realign. That's what you're trying to do. And you instead of having it pull out of place, you get it back in place, and you realign all the muscle tissues and everything to keep it in place.
Wow. Holy
So
shit. That's
yeah,
amazing. That's
yeah.
amazing. So now is this kind of I mean I love the play thing and the play flow and all that stuff, but I mean is this something that you're going to get more into, try to do this therapy with people or expose people to this because it worked for you?
I mean, I do have a website that I'm trying to get out there more. It's just jobs, I even hired a company to help me try to do it because I don't know how to do all the SEO and all this nonsense.
Yep.
Um, and I have on there, you can hire me as a private coach if you need it, but I basically have wrote off everything I did. There's a free page that explains exactly what I kind of did, and then there's a protocol that you can purchase that has videos to go with everything, and then has a thing you can download that you can, a tracker, if you will, so you can do
What
all the stuff.
what type of, because we live in America run by lawyers,
Yeah,
the Satans of the planet, what is there any liability for you trying to get people to say, we're not, I'm not telling you not to get surgery,
yeah,
but I'm saying before you do, at least try my protocol because it'll probably make the surgery, if it doesn't take it down or get rid of it, it'll most likely make the surgery at least easier, right?
yeah,
Because
exactly,
there's
exactly.
less work they need to do. I mean, I would think that would be a pretty safe endeavor.
Yeah, I tell people, like, if you're not in immediate need, just try it out first, because you could be able to heal your hernia, and for sure you'll be able to help yourself. And if if you do end up healing it yourself, if there's a recurrence, you'll know what to do. Like,
Yeah.
but even with surgery, it can pop out again. There's no guarantees. Like, recurrence actually happens a lot, even with the surgery. So, armed with your knowledge of how to do it, you can help heal it. And technically the things that you learn in the protocol help your body reheal with everything. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you're doing things that's good for your whole system. Like eating the aloe really helps just get your whole system like readjusted. It's amazing. It's amazing procedure.
Yeah,
But
my wife has got weird shit all over her
okay.
at night. And so because I'll whip out my sack.
Okay.
Um, but she has like these pads that she puts on her where she pours in castor oil or
Yeah.
put, we put peppermint oil in the belly button or we
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
do, there's so many oils that you could just drop into your belly button. I'm not going to name them because I'll get in trouble, but there's, I mean, even things like that because the belly button just is just
So
such
addictive.
a flow
Yeah.
right into the body. So we'll drop stuff into the belly button. She'll wear that pad with the castor oil a couple times a week, a lot of different drops and things like that. So, just your protocol for the hernia, like you said, will have effect on the rest of the body too, because
Yep.
all those organs in there are so fragile, and
Yep.
all this stuff does heal all those other organs, which will just make all your entire health better.
Yep. 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 I mean, and as far as the lawyer stuff goes, we have a disclaimer on the bottom of our website. Says we're not trying to medically diagnose anything. We're not telling you not to proceed medical procedures. We're just giving you examples from.
Don't sue me, you
Yeah,
asshole. I'm
yeah.
trying to help people
I'm
feel
trying to
better.
help people. There's not, I'm just, there's no need to get aggressive with me.
This
I
is
just,
all just natural shit, right? I
yeah.
mean, this is not like you're in basement, like creating like new pharmaceuticals. This is
Mm,
just natural oils,
yep.
natural stuff. Aloe vera has been used for thousands of years. The stuff's
Yep.
amazing. You get a sunburn, there's nothing better than rubbing
Nothing
aloe
better. Oh,
vera
it's so
on
good.
your
Yeah.
body, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
stuff's just a miracle. You eat it, rub it, whatever, drink it. The stuff's just amazing
Yep.
stuff. So, but Xander, you've been awesome, brother. I mean, I appreciate you coming on. I love your tale. I mean, the journey that you took, all the joy that you spread around the world. I mean, you're kind of like the Pied Piper of joy and smiles and stuff like that. So, I do have one last question, if I may.
Absolutely.
Um, what if you had something you'd like to leave everybody with, leave the crew with, leave our guests with, something that means something to you? It could be about anything, doesn't have to be about what we talked about. It could be about any old thing. Um, what would be a final thought you'd like to leave with everybody?
Don't take it all so seriously. I mean, that's just, that's a fundamental thing of just like, it's not worth it. You know, there's so many things that we're bogged down with, but we take it all too seriously, and it really distracts us from just being in the moment and enjoy and appreciating. So appreciation is always a good thing to do, but you know, just
Why do
enjoy the
people get
ride.
mad at you when you say that?
It's easy for you to say, I mean, that's like, yeah, it is, but it's you know, the pushback is that people, it's not so much that people are against what I'm saying, it's just that the people are just, they don't they don't really grasp the importance of it enough to make a change, to be able to be able to see that, okay, it's I need to do that. I get a lot of people saying when I push juggling on people, I'm like, if you knew how good it was for you to do, you would just do it. You would stop everything and learn how to juggle. What it does for your brain is off the charts. I get so many people like, oh yeah, I'll learn how to juggle. And then so many people don't. Did you learn how to juggle? No. Okay. Okay. All right, cool.
It'll cure Alzheimer's. I
It
mean, there's
it
a lot of
helps.
things that juggling will do because it refires a lot of the wiring in the brain that just goes dormant. It's
Yep.
like I can't do it because I'll poke my eye out, but I do like crosswords and stuff like that. But I know I'll do like 1 foot stuff. I'll try to do some different body stuff to try to get my mind working. But I know I've read up on the juggling, and yes, it
Yeah.
literally will can refire a lot of the stuff in the brain that's been dormant because
Yep.
it's making you do shit you just don't do. We're so sedentary. But
Yeah.
it's funny. I think people love to wallow in their shit,
Yeah.
and they're afraid if they went out and had fun, what would people think of them? What would the neighbors think if you're out having fun in your right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just like this weird it's weird thing. I heard a story a long time ago about Fat Albert. Remember Fat Albert?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So he was with his homies, and they were on the walking on the railroad tracks, and they tried to walk as far as they could without falling off. And Fat Albert could just go forever, right? Without falling off. And his friends were like, dude, Fat Albert, we don't get it. You're fat, and you're not agile. We're skinny. We're really athletic and stuff, but we fall off. And you could go forever and not fall off. How do you do it? And he goes, because you guys are always looking down. See, I'm too fat. I can't look down at the
I
tracks.
can't
I
see.
just look straight ahead. And I just think about what's out there, not what's down here at my feet. They're like,
Nice.
oh, and I think that's what we need to do. Stop just looking at all the shit. Look out. Look out
Yeah.
into the world. Look out to the joy. There's amazing stuff out there if you just fucking look, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's just, the world is a beautiful place. Humans are beautiful creatures, but we got to get past all the shit that we've been force fed. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's literally like, okay, yeah, looking beyond that and seeing the joy that people, who people are, like, and really see that and exploit that. You know what I mean? We got to start dwelling on that versus like trying to find ways just to be pissed off at everybody. It's just doesn't work.
Exactly.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't
All right.
work, man. All right, my brother. Everybody, we've been playing around with Zander Phelps. Xander's doing some really awesome stuff. He has Play Flow. He's working on some courses. He's trying to get some play ambassadors together. But also, he's got an awesome website about hernia, working with that, helping to either heal you or at least get you in a better place if you do have to end up taking that a little bit further with surgery and stuff. So, Xander, where can we find all Xander all the time?
Well, several websites. I got a lot of websites, but one of them is hackito.org or .com. That's where I have the kits for sale. And I've also got the Ultimate Brain. I got the juggling course, a free juggling course, which is the best juggling course online. But and then I have, teach people how to make these things. That's the ultimate goal. These are the ultimate play tools. Juggle with them, kick them around, slap them around, knock things down with them. These things are the best things ever. Um, and then healmyhernia.com is the website for healing
What is it?
hernias.
Healmyhernia.com?
Healmyhernia.com.
Okay.
So and then I've got other websites that are attached to that because I do origami with dollar bills. So I have a whole thing on how to fold dollar bills into amazing origami animals.
That's awesome.
So that's another great brain exercise, but I leave them as tips everywhere I go for people because they're just amazing. So they're really cool. And I
That
chose
is
the
awesome.
best of the best. Like they're literally like some of the most cool animals I've ever found on the website, and all that's for free too. Um,
That's awesome.
so- I'm not a very good
Dude, you
businessman.
you are the ambassador of play, bruh. Not just Kauai. I mean, of the world. We're taking the worldwide ambassador of play. The universal ambassador of play. Well, you've been awesome. I know that we'll have all those different sites linked to the podcast when it finally comes out and stuff. But this has been super fun, Xander. I
Pleasure,
really
Gary.
appreciate you
Yeah,
coming on and sharing your joy and your stories of your travels and what you're doing now to heal people mentally with your juggling and your hacky sack and your joy, but physically with the hernia and stuff like that. It's really cool, man.
thank you very much. Yeah, I'm also have a book coming out soon, so I'm actually
What's the
writing a
book?
book.
What's the book?
Um, well, I have a working title. One working title is "Play with Thyself: The Cure for the Mental Health Physical Crisis." We got, but the one I'm also working on is "The Path of Play: The Globetrotter's Survival Guide in a Crazy World." Right,
Ooh,
right.
kind of like in the Globetrotter Survival Guide.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, but both of those are great titles. Whatever you come up with is going to be awesome. And we're going to freaking have you back. You got to come back when you have the book so we can pimp the book and you can tell
perfect.
us all about the book and about the stories of putting that together. Because as you can tell, I love books.
Yeah, you got a lot of them going. I got to get your book and a kit. I got to get you a kit, man. I'll
There you
send one
go.
out to you.
When the book's done, I want the book and the kit, and I want them
Perfect,
both autographed. And I want a used one, though. I want a game used Xander
perfect.
Hacky sack.
Done, done.
All right, brother. This
All
has
right,
been so
Gary.
much fun. Everybody, you've just played around with Zander Phelps. Please look for him. We'll have all the links on the website. Do yourself a favor and play a little bit. Stop being so freaking serious. It's ridiculous. Right, brother?
Yes, sir. Amen.
You got it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. See you next time. Thanks again for joining us on another episode of What If You Could podcast. Please subscribe, like, share, and give us any feedback. We'd love to hear it. And remember, if you can dream it, you can do it. See you next time.